I was born in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm one of 8. There are only 3 of us living now. 5 sisters who have gone on. And of course I grew up, as I said, in Wilmington, and when I graduated high school, I left and joined the military. And I did 20 years in the military. During my military career, I started my karate training in June of 1966. And of course it's taken me many places to do many things. And my accomplishments have been far beyond anything that I could have ever imagined. Well, as a kid, the men, my uncles and other people who were coming back from World War II in Korea, they talked a lot about judo. And I had an aspiration for judo at first. And then that lasted, and I didn't even know how to spell judo, to be exact. And then as I grew up and then getting into the military, there were a couple guys who were returning from Korea who obviously had done very well in Korea, and they had gotten their black belts. And of course I was stationed at Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama. And I was looking forward to seeing those guys and hoping that they started classes or something. But that never happened. Then 1965, the Wild Wild West started coming on. And about that time I got my assignment to go to Okinawa, and the rest is history. The first training session on Okinawa, it is a memorable one because you get your gi and you get out on the floor knowing nothing, and Sensei, one of the senpai, is trying to take you through things, and of course I had a good propensity to learn, and so I remember learning my first kata all in one night. I learned all the movements in one night, and gee whiz, I thought I was a genius. But here I am 47 years later and realize that I am not the genius I thought I was. I'll tell you, Okinawa, as you look back in 1966 until today, it's like watching history evolve right in front of your eyes. It was more of a primitive type country, and today it's very, very modern. And like I said, 47 years, you would expect growth, but Okinawa has grown and been a very prosperous country. The Makiwara was the primary training tool at Nakazato Sensei's dojo. There were human dummies, me being one of them. And so that was the learning process. A lot of things were learned just through training with individuals, and of course punching the Makiwara. Early on in your karate, and once I started, I only knew one. I was Nakazato Sensei. I had the distinct opportunity of being in the dojo once when Chibana Sensei was in there. But as far as getting to know and or meet any other masters from that era, I did not. And understandably, I didn't know that. I only knew my sensei, and that was it. I did know that there were other styles of karate on Okinawa because there were guys in my squadron who practiced Uechi-ryu and Ishin-ryu, but I didn't know where their dojos were. They probably didn't know where mine was. Well, it was just a time where basically at my level during that time, we just sit and watch in awe of what he was doing. And I mean, you see this little old man and he comes in and he's just showing the class things, and he took the biggest guy in the class and he did something with that guy, and that was my inspiration to stay in karate until I learned what he did. And to this day, I have no idea of what he's done, what he did that day. And so therefore I'm still here, and of course I'll be here until my eyes are closed open no more. As far as interesting experiences, I think probably the greatest experience I had, and I couldn't even tell you where, but when Nakazato Sensei took us to an Oban festival, which is a festival of full moon, and we went to that and we did a demo, and it was exciting. And the other interesting experiences were when, from the time I was a white belt till I was a black belt, I never sparred anybody with black belts. And then after I got black belt, then I sparred the lower ranks. But during those days, we went white belt, brown belt, black belt. Oh, I left Okinawa January 1, 1968. And then I was back to visit Nakazato Sensei in 1969. And then again in 72. And from 72, I didn't go again until 1992. And of course, during that period, there had not been many changes. But after the World Championships on Okinawa and the gentleman got killed, training changed quite drastically. And it was not one of the Shorinkan people that got killed, but I think the gentleman was from South Africa or someplace that got killed during that. And they've eased back on the sparring quite a bit. You don't see nearly as much sparring. As a matter of fact, over the last 12 years or so, I don't recall seeing anybody spar but maybe once or twice during my visits. Once you have a craft or skill, you always want to hone those skills or that craft, and so therefore you touch it on a regular basis. And the only way to really stay at all proficient with it, you teach it. And so I started a class and proceeded from there. And of course, I always said that I believe that God gave me karate first to help me to find myself, and then to help other people to find themselves. And so there was the motivation. Well, as humans, we should always want to grow. What we grow in is, as long as it's good, is not really important, but we should always want to grow. Once you start growing, you die. And so, and as much as I'm in the martial arts, and I learn so much more about myself on a daily basis, and then what I can learn about other people, those are things that are very inspirational, and things that, if I'm going to help somebody else to grow, I need to know both myself and I need to know them. And of course, not getting caught up in the term master that's used so much in the martial arts. I think the greatest challenges were myself. I was a person who was basically filled with inferiorities and negatives as I grew up, and even coming into the martial arts and karate. I truly believe, and as I said, I believe that God gave me karate first to help me to find myself, and then to help others to find themselves. I truly believe that my training in the martial arts have helped me to overcome those things. Now, yes, I think we can still be sometimes regressive in those complexes, but yet still I've grown immensely. As a matter of fact, where I was in the beginning, I could never have been here with you. But today, you know, it's all just part of daily living. To grow and just realize that I am somebody. Not somebody that other people have to bow down to, but I'm on an equal footing with everybody else in the world. Probably the greatest change that you see in many dojos is just it's like a black belt factory. And that is, all you do is go in and you pay and you get your black belt. And it doesn't make any difference whether you've grown as a person or not. You just go in, you pay your money, you get your black belt, and then you're out there. And that's not really what it's all about. I think people should grow as individuals who are wanting to do something to help better our communities, our country, and not just say, hey, I'm a black belt. Well, we say that karate is the military art of self-defense to protect and preserve your life and never to attack others on your own initiative. So that's what we should be about. And so where Bunkai is concerned, that is what it's all about. However, some people sort of mislead it. It sort of gets back to what I was just saying about Black Belt Factory. Once you have gotten your black belt, that is your real license to learn your karate. You have laid the foundation, getting to black belt. Now that you have a foundation, you want to put a building up, and that building includes the bunkai and all of the other little things that we do in our etiquettes that we do in our karate. My personal approach is that you can see bunkai moving to different levels. Number one is that first we just sort of get caught up in the block, punch, kick. But if you've ever seen a fight, it doesn't always end up standing up. It does not always end up on the ground. And certainly you can't move straight lines back and forth or straight lines laterally. So therefore you have to take the kata and carry it to different levels, moving in different directions, doing simple. The hand movements are very intricate. I mean, we have some rigidity in our technique, but then we have to have fluidity at the same time. And so therefore, when the masters were passing on their craft or their skills, if you will, they were just giving you the basic blueprint for how to get there. What you had to do was figure out the blueprint. And so many people fail to learn how to read the blueprint. You know, life in general, I can't help but, as I've gotten to this point in my life, and just in another month I'll be 70 years old. My mother and my father, because of the time in which they grew up, and then raising me and my sisters and brothers in the time that we grew up. that was probably one of the greatest challenges in them, and they were always wanting nothing but the best for us and pushed us to be nothing but the best. And for so long I was in the opposite direction of that because of those complexes that I maintained till I got into karate. Yes, it could have been different perhaps, but when you start talking about figures, those are the ones that I would want to hail first. Is to get into the dojo, listen to sensei, and then train. Be serious about your karate training when you're in the dojo. And be serious about it when you're outside of the dojo. There are some disciplines and etiquette that are only going to help you throughout the rest of your life. Well, first of all, you have to know whether or not you're capable of being an instructor. Everybody is not cut out to have a dojo because you have to get to know people and understand people, and then as we travel in time, people change, and you have to be ready for those changes in people. The people of the 60s were one and learning their karate. The people of the 70s were different people. 80s are different people. The 90s are different people. Here we are 2010 and beyond. And all of those people were different. Many of them achieved the same goals, but they went about it a little bit differently. Well, you know, it's just being in your dojo and knowing your teacher since he was just a little kid. It's exciting to be here, and each year I enjoy the time that I've been here, and Sensei and all the students have been a great host, and I've just enjoyed myself immensely. I just want to encourage everybody to always support Sensei, and there's nothing that says Sensei is always going to be right, but if you have a good rapport with Sensei, you can always Sensei, if you could have a moment of his time and talk to him and say, well, Sensei, I don't think, but be respectful in the way